as a producer, you're always looking for ways to like catch someone's ear. What is like your go-to to like quote unquote ear candy, like the things like inside, like what are you doing to kind of get someone to listen? Because like that's in like the world of like social media, it's like 3 seconds, and it's like I feel like with songs sometimes we're in the stage where it's like TikTok songs and stuff like that, so you kind of have to get somebody as quick as possible. Like what do you do to kind of like grab someone's ear?
Yeah. When I was younger in my process and career, it would always be some kind of like, weird sound or like whatever. And as I've grown older, excuse me, I really focus on just getting the vocal right. I have found that like if the drums sounds aren't quite as good as I want, or if the little, like you said, ear candy things, they can or don't need to be in there if the vocal is amazing. It's a weird, that doesn't answer the ear candy question, but I guess I'm starting to kind of abandon that idea.
Interesting.
And as long as I get the vocal right, it kind of doesn't matter what's behind it. Most of the time. Now, if you're trying to cover up a bad vocal, then yeah, I got a lot of tricks. but most of the time, I'm just focused on getting that vocal and emotion right. And then I don't really need to fill up the track with a bunch of fluff.
So do you kind of, it's so interesting, like do you produce, I don't want to say like minimalistically, but are you always looking for ways to pull out and put in?
Yes.
Is that something that you've kind of changed in like, because I feel like it's like people are like just play louder kind of thing, and it's like that brings, and so it's like not always like that. So like, has your mind changed on like even 100%. How you produce and even how you play live?
Yeah. I mean, it really has, because and again, this is just where I've gone in my journey of it, but I used to get real, just in the weeds of like, okay, now this layer, and that works. There's great producers who do that.
Yeah.
But I've definitely gone the other way of like, what's the main thing? Let's get that right. Don't leave any room for error on the main thing. And then you just have to, there's not as much ground you have to cover.
Yeah.
If that vocal is compelling and just draws you in, who cares what synth layer number 4 is? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's nice and that stuff can help, but it's just not as important. I try to get the 3 or 4 things that are really important to the song and production. I try to get them, spend all the time I can on those. And then if you need something else, great.
Could you maybe expand on the 3 or 4 things? Like, I know each song is different, but like I'm assuming vocals is top.
Yep.
But like, are there other things like drums and stuff that you're kind of like, if I can hone these in? Because I feel like, again, it's like we're in a world of like bedroom producers.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a lot of times it can get really chaotic. And like, again, like it's just so interesting because it's never really what I thought is like less is more, but it makes sense. But like, what are the 3 or 4 things that you're kind of like, in any song, you're kind of like, these are what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have that, or is it like different?
I mean, lyric or just vocal in general is number 1, I think, for most stuff, in sort of a popular genre at least, because that's what's going to really connect to the audience. Groove. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean drums.
Yeah.
It could be anything. It could be just an acoustic guitar and the vocal and the acoustic guitars, but there's got to be a head bob factor is what I call it.
Okay.
Something that makes you kind of want to go.
Like when someone walks in, they're just instantly doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if it's a ballad, it's still got to have a pocket. You know what I mean? And then the third thing would be, this is vague, but it's familiarity. You don't want the listener to feel like they're just experiencing something that feels very unfamiliar. Like,
interesting.
Even if it's like you're using sounds that are different, or you just want it, you want the experience of the arrangement and how the song takes you from A to B to make them feel familiar. You almost want them to go like, oh, I know, I can feel where this is headed.
Yeah.
You don't want to confuse the listener.
Give like a little map.
Yeah.
Like a little mental map, but they don't need to know everything, but
yeah,
like generally know where to step.
So that's a vague note, but I do try to keep that in mind because people like things that seem familiar. Like, you don't want to copy a song that's been done, but there's a reason why a lot of songs sound the same, is because people like familiarity.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. No, that's great. And so then after you're kind of done, after you're kind of done the whole song, and you get into like the mystery part is like the mixing and mastering. A lot of artists just send it. They're like, it's going to come back different. Like, but it's like in some way, but like, how do you kind of approach? Because I feel like that's just like, even in my head, like you send it to a masterer and they do something, They give it back to you, and then you're like, I don't know. I can hear a difference, but I don't know what they did.
Yeah.
So like, how do you approach your mixing? I don't know if you do mastering too, but like, how do you approach that?
Yeah.
You've got a whole song, you got everything done. Like, what's your process?
Yeah. I don't do mastering. I mean, I have, but it's on a like absolute worst case scenario basis. There's just guys who are so good at that.
Yeah.
And the reason is it's a game of like not only inches, but like centimeters.
Yeah.
When you said it sounds better, but I can't tell what they did. It's because they made so many micro moves, just tiny little half dB moves, you know, or whatever it is. And those guys are so zoomed in, you know?
Yeah.
And I kind of take the same approach with mixing. It's like, you know, it's back to intent. Like, what's the intent of this? I try not to just do my thing. And I love mixing. Like, I'm really trying to push a little more into that side of the business because I like, even on stuff I didn't produce, I love just getting people stuff in and, you know, helping them get it across the finish line.
Yeah.
So I'm embracing this thing of like record finisher a little more in my business now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my approach is just understand the intent. And hopefully that's obvious to me. But if not, then it's a conversation of like, hey man, this could go a bunch of ways. What's your intent with this song? Like, what's your artistic intent? And then make the decisions based on that.
Yeah.
You know?
Would you say that mixing and mastering and stuff is like, I wouldn't say more important, but like, would you like, if you could split like arrangement and all that stuff and mixing and mastering, would you do like a 60-40 kind of split?
I would argue that arrangement is still everything.
Really?
Because I can get, even if I'm the best mixer in the world, which I'm not, but I feel pretty confident.
Yeah.
But even still, I just bang my head against the wall with arrangements that are bad because there's stuff fighting.
Yes.
It's cloudy. Like nothing has its space. It just doesn't progress right, you know? And so if you get the arrangement right, you can make me sound like a really good mixer.
I love it. Yeah. No, it's great. I know we're closing out our time, but it's been so much fun having you on.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any tips do you have for someone, maybe an artist that wants to like start getting into like demo work a little bit and trying to do their own thing, or like someone that wants to sharpen their skills, like anything that from all your years of like, of being in the producer and touring all stuff, like anything that you can kind of like, let's just focus on producing. Any tips you have on producing?
Yeah.
Kind of have been like something you've learned for a while that you're like, if I had this 10 years ago, everything would have been a little bit easier.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my tip would be, it's a two-sided coin of like, there's no rules. So you can go watch the YouTube videos and they tell you this is how to build this or mix this or whatever. There's no rules. You have to follow, like, you have to have some sort of internal instincts that says, yes, this is right, or no, this doesn't feel good. But on the flip side, it's not just the Wild West either. Like, you do need to sort of like get some knowledge of like music. And first of all, music, just understand music. I think that helps me be a better mixer and engineer and producer because I took some time to understand what's happening in music. I don't just grab a guitar and just put my fingers down and, you know, so it's a little bit of a push and pull of like, there's no rules, just be creative and have fun, but also like be a little disciplined about it. And there's a lot of knowledge out there, you know, learn what you're doing.